And then finally, the 12th Alinsky tactic is the one that we all know, right? Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, polarize it, right? This is the famous one from Alinsky. Find somebody you don't like, and then hit them and make them the bad guy. The left's job is to make individuals into villains they can attack. Don't let them. If somebody's a villain, you shouldn't associate with them anyway. You shouldn't defend villains. But if they're not, for goodness sake, don't run from people just because the left is attacking them. Defend the people who deserve defense. And by the way, the real villains are the lefties. So use this tactic against them because they deserve it. Okay, so that's step 3, is to know your enemy and their tactics. Final step, don't get fat and happy. Our army has to stay lean. That means that we can't sacrifice the nature of the army for temporary victory or we'll hollow out the movement. Okay, we've been doing this for years. Compromise is fine, it is, so long as you remember where you left your principles. But if you left them somewhere and you don't remember where you left them, you're never going to find them again. And you'll end up with no victory and no principles. So we have to stay lean and stay sharp, and we have to be aware that when someone doesn't hold your principles and hold their feet to the fire, then nothing gets done. It's always easier to get in line, to go along, to say your army is the better of two evils, and it's true. It's always going to be true. We're always going to be the better of two evils. But that's not what builds movements. If you allow the army to lose its values, if you forget what you're fighting for in the first place, if you forget who your enemies are, then you forget how to fight, and you become a spent force. No conservative movement can put up a series of candidates who blew up the budget, created campaign finance reform, originated Obamacare, and gave money to Hillary Clinton all in a row and not hollow out the movement. You can't do that. Trump may feel like victory in the same way that napalm does. It's got the scent, but the actual substance might burn a little bit. Let me wrap up with this basic idea. How you vote in this election cycle is up to you. I get it. I understand. I may vote the same way you do in the end. Okay, how I vote is my business. But please, for the love of all that's holy, let's think about building a movement beyond this election cycle. Think about building something once we're past November. I'm 32. I'm 32 years old. Okay, I have a 2-year-old. I've been busy in the last couple of years since I was last here. I have a 2-year-old and I have a 2-month-old. Those generations are only going to be protected if we revivify our movement, if we come together around those values, and if we learn who our enemies are, and if we fight them every single step of the way, never giving an inch, and if we never stop fighting. We can't get tired. If we do, they win. We can't let them have a few victories. They exploit every single victory and then push on to the next victory. The left is a ceaseless, heedless monstrosity. It's our job to hold that wall. Here's the thing, though. I think true conservatives know that. You know, Ronald Reagan always said this. He always said freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. And that's exactly right. But to avoid extinction, we have to grow, we have to evolve, we have to get stronger, we have to get tougher. We have to rededicate ourselves to the principle, we have to rededicate ourselves to the fight, and that's hard work. And that's our mission. We're an empire of liberty. We're a nation conceived in freedom. Our mission is to carry that freedom forward in the face of all odds, and that mission doesn't change. That mission is eternal. And that mission calls to us from the end of history. It's God's mission. It's the founder's mission. It's a mission that has to be fulfilled at all costs. The mission calls us forward. It urges us forward. The heroes of days past, Washington and Adams and Jefferson and Lincoln and Reagan, our fathers, our mothers, our ancestors, who fought to bring us to these shores and then make these shores free and give their kids a chance, they're cheering us on. They are. They are. I believe in an afterlife, and they're cheering us on, begging us to stumble forward because nobody else is going to carry the torch. The left's going to try to rip that torch away. They're going to try and drown it in the mud of political correctness, of collectivism, of government tyranny, and it's up to us. So, let's take up the torch, passed down to us over 2,000 generations. Let's take it up with joy in our heart and strength in our grip and a warning in our eyes. Do not, for the love of God, cross us. We're the guardians of limited government and individual liberty. We're the guardians of Judeo-Christian Western civilization. There's no one else left. We're the last line of defense. We stand together, and we must never, ever, and we will not ever, ever stop fighting. Thanks so much.